Welcome back to the double egg. I'm one half of the show, Hey Job Picks. The other half of the show, the parlay. Joining me in to give you the best bets for UFC Vegas 85. Let's get into it. Less than 48 hours away from UFC Vegas 85, and we have narrowed down the spots that we want to play for this week's UFC card. If you missed it, we went over the entire UFC card for this weekend earlier in the week. We will link that down in the description below if you want to check that out. And if you have any questions or if you got any concerns on any single fight, we broke them all down there. So make sure to check that out. But we're going to go through, give you our best bets for this UFC card. We're going to give you a betting favorite, a betting underdog, and a prop bet that we like. And these are all picks, are all bets that we have and are live on the Double Leg Premium. The link's in the description for that. $39.99 a month gets you every single UFC card every week. We got 11 in a row coming up. So you're going to get a good bang for your buck there. Head over there and sign up and join the family. You got any comments before we jump into these bets?
I got a lot of plus money out this week, man. I'm excited. This is a card that I feel like if you're betting a lot of the favorites and some favorites at chalk and you're building these parlays, I think you could be in trouble. Like, this is just one of those cards we look back and there's going to be some upsets. There's some close lines. I'm super excited for it. I don't know if it's just the layoff or the matchups in this card, but I'm pumped for this one.
Yeah, I mean, we're at the Apex, so we're always going to get some lower level fights. And sometimes those are the best to find the dogs. And the dogs may be barking this weekend. Let's jump into it. We're going to start it off with my best betting favorite of the week. I'm going with the undefeated Dagestani, Aliashkab Hizriev, minus 145. Look, this line seems to be moving down, which is very interesting to me. I think he was up like minus 180 beginning of the week. I think on the breakdown show, he's minus 180. Just keeps coming down. And I'm like, why is that? Well, I think a lot of people are loving Mahmoud Muradov. And to be honest, I haven't seen too much to love from Mahmoud Muradov. I mean, he's 4-2 in the UFC. You look at those wins, they're not very impressive. I mean, Alicio Di Chirico, by decision, not very good. Trevor Smith, who the hell is that? Andrew Sanchez, not good. And then the loss. The massive loss that jumps off the board is to Gerald Meerschaert, where he was a huge favorite, and he just gassed out, gets rear naked choke, second round, loses to Kyle Barallo, and picks up a win his last time out against Brian Barberena, who's not a 185er. Like Brian Barberena he always looks kind of, doesn't look super muscular, but he has no business fighting at 185. And Muradov shot so many takedowns, landed a lot of takedowns, but what does that tell you? He can't really hold you on the ground. And you look at Muradov's style, his weakness comes from grapplers. I mean, he's got great stand-up. It's not super high volume. He hits hard. But the losses to Barallo, losses to Meerschaert tell you the grappling is the weakness. And what does Hizriev do best? The grappling. And I would assume he comes in here and does what he does best. And I would assume that he comes in here knowing that Muradov has some heavy hands. Avoid those shots. Don't mess around. Take him to the ground. Do your Fat Khabib type wrestling. Tie up those legs. Land some ground and pound. Maybe find a submission. I don't mind the submission prop, but I do think Hizriev gets him down to the ground, controls him there, and picks up a win. So minus 145, I think that is a steal. I think this guy, he's been off for almost 2 years now. He's not a guy that people know. He's not super active, but he is an undefeated Dagestani who holds a lot of skills, even in the stand-up. I think he's not a fish out of water, and I think he'll do well against Muradov in this fight. That's why I got him. Are you with me or against me?
No, I'm with you. I teased the idea of taking Muradov here as a dog, but man, you look and just from what I've gathered and what I've watched, he's almost a tad overrated. I know everybody wants to talk about he's the only MMA fighter on the money team under Floyd Mayweather, yada yada. Who cares? At the end of the day, like when he fought Brian Barberina, he had him in trouble a few times, and he hit him really hard and hurt him. But I didn't like the fact that he couldn't, when he was on the ground, like he just couldn't really, like you said, control him. He's not looking for subs or to finish the fight there. I mean, Rafael dos Anjos, who's a 155er at heart, was able to sub Brian Barberina, and you're telling me this big ass dude couldn't? So I mean, I've seen him get tired as fights go on too. I'm not saying Kitriev isn't going to get tired, but it's hard betting against a guy who you've never seen lose. Like I don't know how you bet against him at this price even. His stand-up's decent. He's a southpaw. He's got that wrestling style that is draining. It's not just like a takedown and side control. Like he's locking your legs up. He's making you work to even get legs free to try to get up. And I think it's going to wear on Muradov here. And this type of guy, like Kitriev, like I haven't seen any fighter with that style from Dagestan really get tired in a fight. And They might be a little slower and stuff, but they're not tired to the point where they're in trouble of getting finished or dropping rounds or anything. So yeah, no, I think he's a side here, especially if you're going to get this price. I think it's a gift right now. Until he loses, I mean, you have to take him at that price all day.
Yeah, I think if you like Muradov, the ship has sailed as far as getting the underdog there, because you're not getting a lot of bone to chew off there, and I just think it's going to be tough for Muradov to get offense off against Israel. So that's my betting favorite. We'll move on to yours, Yulia Stoliarenko, money line -130. Tell me about it.
Yeah, first of all, this is one of the plays too. Like I've talked about it. I know you felt it before. As bettors, you just get a gut feeling sometimes, and I can't tell you like when I get this feeling that it just seems like it never fails me, and I have it with Julia Stoliarenko. And then early in 2 weeks ago when I was watching tape, like I was a little high on Carolina as a dog, but after really digging in and doing research, Stoliarenko is fighting at 145 against the Chelsea Chandlers, and like she's just outsized. She wasn't as strong as these other girls, but she showed in her last fight against Molly McCann that at a lower weight class, she's going to be pretty damn good, and she's going to be a lot stronger than these girls. She's thick, she's powerful, and you watch her interviews, man, she's mean. She loves the violence, she loves the fighting, and I just don't know if Carolina has the physicality to hang with her. Like even on the feet, Carolina is going to be more technical. She's got the good Muay Thai, but Stoliarenko is just going to be in your face. She's going to come forward. She's going to swing some bombs, and she's going to look to get the fights to the ground. And she is going to be the stronger opponent here. And all it's going to take is a couple takedowns for her, and she's going to win the rounds if she doesn't find the submission, find the armbar. I think she's going to be the minute winner here. I think Carolina might have some good exchanges on the feet, but outside that, I just don't see where Carolina wins this fight. And you look at Stoliarenko's record. Like I get it. It doesn't look great at all. But again, keep in mind, those losses are against girls a lot bigger than her, stronger than her. And now she's at her rightful weight class where she's going to be a little bit bigger. I think this is her all day.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, we've been the guys to give Luana Carolina the benefit of the doubt in a lot of fights. And I just think this is a terrible matchup for her. So I'm with you there. I mean, Carolina's been taken down in every single fight, every single one of her last 5 fights. And the fight before that, she didn't get taken down, but she got knee barred and sub. Yeah. So I think Stoliarenko is the side in this one as well. Move on to my bet or my favorite underdog of the card. I'm going with Landon Quinones, moneyline +120. He's taking on Markel Medeiros. This might be a little bit of a Dana White Contender Series fade because I don't necessarily think the guy that Medeiros fought was that good. He was an older guy with basically one dimension. I mean, he looked for the wrestling, looked for the takedown. Medeiros stuffed it, and then he looked for it again, and he caught a knee to the face. So I think Medeiros is solid. I think he's got a more of a mixed martial arts like style where he's kind of more flowy. He's not really a guy that like came into the sport with one thing that he's good at. You see a lot of those fighters nowadays where they're not, a kickboxer, they're not a wrestler, they're just kind of trained mixed martial arts throughout their whole career. Medeiros is that guy. And Landon Quinones, not necessarily that guy. He's got a good all-around game, but I think he's just going to be a little bit better in the striking department, a little bit sharper. And we saw in the fight against Hack Press, he can take some shots, Medeiros has good power, but then you got to look at like who he's facing on the regional scene. I did like you watch the tape; these guys are straight trash, dude. Like you just throw the records out the window. Like you watch the tape that the guys that Medeiros has been fighting, not good. And the only guy that was decent, he went to a split decision and took a loss there. So I think Quinones as a dog is the side. I think the value's on him here. And I expect him still young in his career. I mean, he's 28. So it's second UFC fight. You get the UFC jitters out of the way. You're back at the apex. I think he takes this one here. Plus money. Sign me up all day. You with me or not?
I like it. I mean, when you look at fighters coming into the UFC for their debut, like Medeiros, like yeah, he's beating these regional scene guys. He got the knockout on the Contender Series, but I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. Getting the quick knockout like that. Like I think you want that experience heading into your UFC debut at that level. I mean, it shows he's dangerous, obviously, but I think Nez showed he's tough and durable in his last fight, coming in on short notice, eating 170 something significant strikes from Hackprast, and landing 150 himself. It shows you he's durable. It shows you he's got the volume. And for your UFC debut, if you're wanting to stand and strike with a guy, I don't think it's a good thing to come in here against a guy who's as sharp with the striking and who does have high volume, because that's the type of fights you break in. Like you're under a lot of pressure. It's your debut. You're under the bright lights. And now you got a dude in your face throwing 150 to 200 significant strikes over the course of 15 minutes. Like that just screams gassing out to me for a debut fighter. It screams maybe not being able to handle the pressure quite yet and needing more experience. So, yeah, I think at plus money, Landon Quinones is probably the side.
I like it. Your favorite underdog of the week, Pete Rodriguez, plus 210 on the money line. Tell me about it.
Yeah, man, people are split on this. I've seen online. But at plus 210, like I just feel like there's a lot of value there. He doesn't have the most MMA fights in his professional career. His only loss is to Jack Della Maddalena, which isn't the worst loss you can have in the world. The guy's fighting Gilbert Burns at 299 for God's sakes. I mean, and even in that fight, yeah, he got finished in the first round, but in 2 minutes and 59 seconds, he also landed 25 significant strikes on Jack. Like the guy's boxing and striking is very good compared to Timba's, who is a grappler. He's going to look for takedowns. If he stands and tries to strike with Pete, I think he's going to be in some trouble. Just looking at the stats alone, like for Timba, his striking defense is very low. It's 42%. His output is under 2 significant strikes per minute. So, I mean, while this thing's on the feet, I think he's going to be in danger at all time. We've seen him knocked out before. If Pete lands, like he does knock guys out, he has 5 wins on his pro record, and all 5 are by knockout. He's very strong, and he's got 100% takedown defense in the UFC. Like he hasn't fought the best grapplers and had to stuff many takedowns, but when guys do get in the clinch and are looking for a leg or looking to get him down, he's strong enough, and it seems like he knows what he's doing enough to keep it on the feet for the most part. I mean, he's out of the MMA lab. There's some absolute up-and-coming killers there right now, some great wrestlers there, and I think he's got all the right training partners. I think he's well coached, and I think he'll be ready for this fight. And if you're going to give me a big power puncher like that, who can shut the lights off at plus 210 against the Garimbo, who is 34 or 35 years old, sorry, no, he's only 33, I believe. Yeah, 33. I mean, I just have to take the power and the more finishing ability on the feet here. So, yeah, but plus 210, I had to hammer him.
Here's where we differentiate ourselves from the so-called casuals. Look, we see it all the time. We give out a pick, and then there's people in the comments that are just 100% on one side or not. This is where we differentiate ourselves. So I'm with you, but I'm not. I understand where you're coming from. Pete Rodriguez, big plus money. And ultimately, I would chalk it up to either a first-round knockout or bust, because we haven't really seen him past the first round, so I don't know how he looks. But he's going to be most dangerous in that first round, and that's probably where Garimbo could get caught. So I'm with you there, but I'm with my boy Temba Garimbo. I can't go against him. So I'm not with you on the pick, but I definitely understand where you're coming from. And that's where we differentiate ourselves. We look at all the things, and we can understand both sides. So Pete Rodriguez, money line, underdog. That is the parlay's best underdog of the week. We'll keep her moving. My best prop bet of the week, the Giga Chad, Drew Dober. by KO/TKO, plus 225. Inject that line into my veins. Drew Dober, most knockouts in lightweight history. And he's taken on a guy in Renato Moicano who has been knocked out 4 times in his career. Not only that, he knows that Drew Dober has big hands. So he's going to be looking for some takedowns, try to shoot those submissions. Drew Dober also knows that Renato Moicano is going to look for some takedowns and look for the submission. So this is striker versus grappler. You're getting Drew Dober, the most knockouts in lightweight history at plus 225 by knockout. I got to take it. I think that is my favorite prop of the week. I mean, this fight is not expected to go to the scorecards. So if you're looking at Drew Dober money line at like plus 145, I mean, you might as well like split it up at least. If you like his money line, take it for a half unit and then take the other half unit for him by KO. I like to do that sometimes. If you have an underdog, but you really think his path to victory is by a prop, just split it up, do a half and half, covers you a little bit in both sides. And I just think Drew Dober heavy-handed is going to come in, may eat some shots early because Moicano does have a good jab. He's got fairly technical striking, but it looks learned. It doesn't look super fluid. It doesn't look super natural, but it is sharp. And I expect him to work behind his jab, look for his opportunities to shoot some takedowns. But if he does get the takedown, I think Drew Dober can get back up to his feet. And he knows he just can't give up his back, and he should be able to get back up to his feet and start laying bombs. I'm all over it. Drew Dober KO. What do you think?
Yeah, Drew Dober was my first play of the week, and I've got to add more at this price. He's becoming the bigger underdog here, which is shocking to me. I mean, Moicano 450 days off from the octagon, and you got to come back against the guy that leads the lightweight division in all-time knockouts. Like, that just seems like a recipe for disaster. Like, there's no room for ring rust here early in the fight for Renato Moicano because Drew Dober is going to be in your face. Great Muay Thai. He hits hard. And, Moicano does have technical striking. It's not the most powerful, but it's hard to be technical when a guy is trying to get in close like Dober and is hitting you with 5-punch combinations, ripping the body, really draining that gas tank. I mean, Drew Dober's body shots, the one he hit Alves with that dropped him and finished the fight was nasty. And, if he starts landing those, it's going to be increasingly harder for Moicano to implement his offensive game plan here. So plus money, Drew Dober, I think it's all day.
Let's go. Your favorite prop of the week, Randy Brown by submission, plus 400. The 400 bomb. I mean, we're not giving out little plus money here. We're getting plus 400. Randy Brown by sub. Tell me about it.
Yeah, man, this is like my favorite type of bet. That big plus money bet is a guy who's very, very long for the division, very tall, long limbs, long arms, long legs, to where if he gets on your back, if he has you in like a front headlock, this guy can go for Darce chokes, ninja chokes. If he has your back, the rear naked choke. I mean, he's going to be set up for so many different types of submissions if he can get into that position. And then I also really love it when they're fighting a guy who does gas out a little as fights go on and who does have a little wrestling in their back pocket to where, when they feel threatened or they're tired, their instinct in there is going to be to shoot a sloppy takedown. And that's exactly what I think is going to leave the neck open at some point for Randy Brown. Like we did it with Said Nurmagomedov. He's longer, skinny, has those long arms, and he got that choke in the first round. I just love this style and taking the submission for a guy who, half of his finishes are by submission as well. So it's not like he's a fish out of water and is not going to be looking for him if it presents itself. Like Randy Brown has a handful of submissions on his record, and Salakov's been submitted twice. So, it's definitely one that if you see Randy Brown start taking the back or grab that head from the front position, look out.
Yeah, I remember that one arm rear naked choke that Randy Brown had on Cowboy Oliveira, and ever since then I've been on Randy Brown sub props, and he hasn't hit one. So
well, it's coming this week.
I eventually you play it enough, it's gonna hit. And I could see where you're coming from. Randy Brown by sub on this one. Plus 400 doesn't seem too bad because Salakov, half of his losses come by sub. So that is juicy. And I actually might end up taking. I don't have it on my card right now, but that is a nice line. And
Randy needs a win too. I mean, he needs to start building back. He took the loss to JDM after He's on a 4-fight win streak, beats Wellington Turman. I mean, just get the sub, get out of there, get your dub, and get back on the train here.
Yeah. I mean, also, I mean, Randy Brown is what, minus 280, I think. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting a pretty heavy favorite here to win in a way that he's won a lot of his fights at a big plus money number. So that is not bad. I like it. Those are the best bets for UFC Vegas 85. Hopefully you enjoyed, whether you're tailing or not. Good luck to you, and hopefully we hit them. If you want in on all the bets for UFC Vegas 85, once again, the Double Leg Premium membership is in the link in the description. You can stay up to date with everything at the Double Leg on Instagram. We'll give out the free pick there. So we're 2-0 in 2024 on the free picks. So definitely stay tuned for that. That'll drop on Saturday. At HeyJai Picks on the medias for me. Where can they find you?
All social media is at the Parlay MMA.
Appreciate you all. Till next time, the Double Leg signing out.